Next 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, good everyone. Good day, good morning, good evening, wherever you're in the world. Welcome to another Microsoft section brought to you by your business. So for today's session, we're talking about connecting Microsoft Power Automate to Azure SQL Database. So this session is being hosted by Temidayo, Omoniyi, which that's myself. This session was brought together by the partnership between Enterprise DNA and your business. So Enterprise DNA have the main focus of powering Power BI user all over the world to change the world. This session is also brought to you by your business. So your business is a registered Microsoft Excel consulting, financial modeling, data analysis, enterprise firm solution in Nigeria. We specialize in helping companies and high-value professionals be on top of their business data. Most of you know we're also a training company, so we train in both Excel, Power BI, financial modeling, Python for data analysis, and also big data using Excel. So this is our calendar for our upcoming training both in Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. So on the 27th to 28th of May, that's next week, we'll be having big data analysis, Power Query, Power Pivot, and VBA using Excel. Also on the 28th to 29th of May, we'll be having the advanced financial modeling and also with a mock exam. So let's give a brief description about myself. Temidayo Omoniyi is a Microsoft certified data analyst and also a business intelligence with over 2 years working experience. Is a Microsoft certified trainer. He enjoys creating educative content on your business YouTube channel and other platforms such as Twitter and other places. Okay, I also enjoy writing code and also automating different business processes using Power Automate, Python, and other processes. You can follow me on LinkedIn with Temidayo Omoniyi, also on Twitter with KiddoJazz at KiddoJazz, KIDDOJAZZ, and also on GitHub with KiddoJazz. So without any further ado, I will start this section right about now. So I'll stop sharing my screen. I will go. So I'll stop sharing. Just give me a second. Let me open my. Okay. Just give me a second. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen now. So tell me if you can see my screen. Okay. So today's section is called connecting Power, using Power Automate to connect between Azure SQL Server, right? Azure SQL Database. So it's basically a flow with Azure Database. For the materials we'll be using, the three main platforms we'll be using today, we're going to be using Azure SQL. We're also going to be using SQL Server Management Studio. That's for some people that use SQL, that write SQL code or write MySQL or use Postgre SQL. So for today's one, we're using SQL Server Management Studio. This SQL Server is owned by Microsoft, and also we're using the Power Automate. That's for automating tasks. So I'll just start by explaining some parts. So the Azure SQL Database is a managed cloud database in the Azure Cloud Platform that runs on SQL Server database engine. So that's more like a database that runs on the SQL Server. We also have the SQL Server Management Studio. So it provides a unified management environment for all SQL systems. So SQL means structural query language. So if you're into SQL, so one of the ways you can do administration, you can write code, you can query your database, you can use the SQL Server Management Studio. So all components of the SQL Management Studio, Azure SQL Database, Azure SQL Managed Instance, Azure SQL on virtual machine, and also Snagit Analytics may be accessed or configured or administrated using the Azure SQL Management Studio. So also have the Power Automate. So the Power Automate is a service that helps you create automated workflow between your favorite app and services to synchronize file, get notification, collect data, and do so many things. You can do things like multi-level approval system. You can create alerts. You can create auto refresh using Power. Anything else that you just want to like automate things. So Power Automate gives you that leisure. Most times you have the Power Automate desktop, which provides you with RPA, that's robotic process automation, and so many things. So I will escape this. So the first thing we're meant to do is basically we're meant to create an Azure SQL database. So I will share because of time. These are the 1 hour section. So I will share this with us. So I wrote a blog about creating an Azure SQL database. So because of time and everything, I won't be able to create a database into this section. So I'll just share you the link. So for some of you that might be interested, you can just read through. So I wrote an article on how you can create an Azure SQL database from here. So the next thing I want to do, I'll go to my Azure. So let me just go to my Azure portal now. I've actually created a database already. Because of time, we'll have like an hour section. I don't really waste time. So I'll use one of my accounts. Let me just use this one. Well, no, so some of you that are into cloud computing, Azure gives you so much leisure and everything, so much flexibility. Okay, just go to my home. So I created a database. Your business. I did like some couple of days back. So let's start to query my data now. I'm in SQL query. So let me just go to my edit query, right? I'll log in with my account. Okay, if it doesn't work, it has to do with the firewall. So most times that's the cool thing about Azure. Azure has this base highly protected, and it has this kind of firewall that whenever if there's a different IP address, it always changes. It doesn't log in. So I have to just update this IP address. I'll click on update. So it's going to update it for me. Might take a little bit of second, but it's going to update it. Okay, so it has showed successful. So it's showing successfully updated here, right? So I'll just click on. I'll try logging in again. So it's in. So if it doesn't work at first, right, you just check your firewall. It's just basically your firewall. So let me just open let me open my table. So for this database, I'm using the AdventureWorks. So AdventureWorks is a Microsoft database that gives you leisure to do so many things. Let me see. I think okay, no questions so far. Okay. So you can check the link I sent. You can create your Azure database. Because of time, it might take a little bit of time. So I don't want to like waste time. So I'll not show you how to connect your Power Automate to your Azure. So the idea behind today's training is how you can populate from Power Automate directly to your Azure database itself. So let's just say, so this is my database here, right? I say, let me just query this to my right hand from, let me use sales data address. Let me just run this. So you can see this, right? It ran perfectly well. So this is just I'm just querying a single table. I'm querying the sales address table itself. So another cool thing about the SQL Server management, which is a studio, it helps you query data, manage, do administrative right and everything. So I'll open you can see now I'm able to query my database from my Azure itself, Microsoft Azure. But let me use my Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio. So I'll open it here. Let me just open this up. So let me just go to Google. For some of you that want to download, that might be interested in downloading the SQL Server, just go take a little bit of time. If you have any question, just put in the chat box below. Okay. Why is Google here? Just say download. Okay, download SQL Server Management Studio. For some of you want to download it, I'll just paste the link. So you can just come to this link. You go down. I think you just click. You come over here, this particular place here. This is where you download the SQL Server. For some of you that are used to things like MySQL, things like Postgres SQL. So those are different ones. So Microsoft has theirs is called a SQL Server Studio. So I'll copy this. I'll come to the chat here. I'll paste it here. Hey Toby, how you doing? So let me open it open twice. Let me just close this once. Actually open twice. I'm coming. I think I pressed it too much. So this is my SQL Server, right? So for this one, I'll be using the Azure database, this one here, okay, because I have different database. So the database I'm using, right, if I come to the database I created, let me just click on OK. You can see I have my server name. My server name is this one here. This is server name I'm using. So I've already done all the whole connection because of time and everything. Just copy the server name and you pay this is server name and everything. So I'll be connecting using my login detail. So I'm trying to connect. I'm connected to the server now itself. Okay, so this is an IP issue now. So that's one thing I was saying about Azure. Azure usually have a lot of IP address. So this is more like firewall. So I'll just come to my firewall over here. If it doesn't work, we might just use the local one. So you can see this firewall. Yes, I can just add your client's IP address. So let me just add this. I'll save. That's the cool thing about Azure. It has this high level of protection. So if you are using different IP address, it's always going to give you. It's not going to be changed all the time. So let me just try connecting again. So I'll just close this. I'll try. If it doesn't work, I'll just do the local one. So I'll open my SQL. That's SSNS again. I will try connecting again. So my login is your business server. I just created some random database. So I'll connect again. Okay, so I'll sign in. So I've tried updating. I've already updated the IP address now into my firewall. So which account should I use? Let me use this one. All right, so it's connecting. If you have any question, just put in the chat box. Okay. Okay, click on OK. So I'm trying now to connect my Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio to my Azure database. Go to connect to server. So this one most times usually has to do with IP address. So, but okay, let's just do something easier because of time and everything. So, just it's most times it's just the IP address. So let me just use like my local one this time around. So I'll connect to this one. But what I was trying to achieve actually was I want to connect to this database here, this one here on the cloud. I want to connect it, but most times because of firewalls and it, I have to be updating the network and it. But you can see that I was able normal Azure SQL itself. So, but just because of time, I was able to connect it with this. Okay, now so let me just say this is a local. This is not my own system database, right? So what I want to do now to create I'll create a connection between Power Automate and Azure. I'm sorry, Azure, but now I can't use Azure this time because I think is having IP address. I'll connect between Power Automate and my normal database on my local machine this time around. So, and even if I've connected to the Azure database, which I did last night, it's going to be slow. So let me just use the normal my local machine now. So I'll just open. So I created a database called Anijaz. So that's my nickname for small feeder. My nickname is Anijaz. So the database has different table, right? So if I come to this table side here, if I right click, I'll create a data table. So I right click, I go to new, I click on table, right? For small feeder, I ask, okay, how did they create database? For you to create database, let me send you a code. So if I just come here, you can write create database. I can now put the database name. Let me just say is edge database in any using your query in any platform, SQL, MySQL, Postgres, anyone. So okay, I have this now. I want to create a table now, right? So the first one, let me just say employee, right? The data type, let me name it val. Let me change to val. This val chart. Allow no. Next, let me say first name. I don't want to start writing code. You can write, you can create like a table, like you say create table. You now put the database, put the name by writing like query, but I don't want to do that because of time. So I'll say the same thing. I'll say val. Just delete it. That's variable characters 50. Allow none. I'll click no. I'll say last name. Last name. Var 50. Allow not now. Let me just say phone number also. So phone number. For let's say trying to like rush, because I know today's one will be a little bit lengthy. So for this now, for this employee ID, you can make it a like an so for what I mean a unique identifier, or that's more like, we call it more like primary keys, or sometimes if you're into database, maybe you get like primary keys, like foreign keys and the rest, right? So if I come to like if I click on this my employee ID, if I go down to my identity specification, I can also change it to yes. So what I mean by change, for now showing the identity for the identity increment, it's showing as no, right? You can change to yes. So what I mean by increment, it means that okay, it will be increasing by numbers from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But this time around, I want to put like a kind of unique kind of identifier as your employee ID. So I'll leave it as no, right? So next, after I've written my, these are the 3 columns I want for my database, right? So I want my employee ID, I want my first name, last name, and phone number. So I just click on save. So I can just name it so I want to name the table. You know the table, a table in database is like where your data is being stored. What your database? Your database is where you keep your table. Your database is like your warehouse of everything. And your tables are like more like information, like binary or text kind of data that's usually found inside of your database. Let me say flow DB, right? Click on OK. So I've created this. Let me just click on refresh. Let me just expand my table. You can see I have my flow DB. I can run this. If I right click now, I go to select top 100 rows. So basically it will be blank, right? So it's blank right now because I've not put any information. If I don't put any information, it's very easy. I can just come here, right click, and I go to edit top 100 rows. Okay, let me just chill. Okay, it's loading. So let's wait while it loads. Okay, no questions so far. It's taking time to load. Oh, why are you taking time now? Just give it a second. I don't know, my system is working on it ultra, so let me just give it a second. No, don't start now. Just give me a second, please. Let me close this first. Okay. Okay, so if you read the this what they call it now. If you read the article, the blog post I gave here, you to show you how to get Azure. Like that, this one I'm using now. I have my company's own. I also have my MCT Azure database. Like there's different licensing, but the one I'm using right now, I have different. But the one I'm currently using, I'm using my MCT. That's the MCT. I'm sure you have the MCT certification, right? So you can use your MCT certification to do that. So let me just go to my. I'll open my SQL. I didn't crash, so I don't know why it's in crash. So I'll just open it again. So I'll connect to my database. So let me check my database, and the jars by table. Okay, so this is here, right? So next thing I will do now, go to my browser. I'll go to my office.com. So office.com. From office.com, I'll go to don't mind what I'm doing. I do some very crazy stuff when I'm less busy. I'll open my Power Automate. So you know, Power Automate just basically for automating tasks, right? Anything like it's more like flow. They call it flow. For my Power Automate, I will also open my Microsoft form. So the idea what I'm trying to achieve, I'm trying to like link a Microsoft form to Power Automate, and at the same time it's populating my SQL database, right? But the issue now is that I'm not using my Azure database anymore because of IP address. The firewall, actually Azure firewall is always changing most times, so I have to be redoing videos. So I'm trying to use like a local machine this time around. So I'll open my form now. Open my form. So this is my form. So this is my Power Automate. So one of the things, right? So I'm doing a SQL database, right? So one of the first thing I have to do first, I have to create like a connection. If I go to my database, I'll go to my connections, right? So I'll put my connection. So this basically is going to tell me all the connections I have. So it's going to take a little bit of time. It's loading actually. So it's going to show me all my connection. Okay, I think I've done this one. Let me just delete this connection. I'll do it again so you guys will see how it works. So if I delete this connection, I'll delete this one again. So I have different connections. This is my personal account. So I have my they call it developer accounts in Microsoft. So I have my developer account. So these are the different connections, my Excel flow, approval system, forms and everything. And also have like some Power BI connection. So if I click on new connection now, so this time around I'll look for SQL. So I'll say SQL. So there are different SQL connection. I have my SQL Server connection. I have my SQL now, the one that everyone is used for the most used database management student, MySQL. I also have Postgre. That's Postgre SQL. I actually like Postgre. Postgre has a very nice user interface. I've actually worked with a project. I worked with clients once that used Postgre database, but it was actually very difficult to connect with Power BI. You have to do like a custom kind of connection. But it's a long process, a long story though. We also have the Azure SQL database warehouse. So, but this one since I'm using the SQL database, I'll select SQL Server, right? So this time around, I was meant to use the Azure integration, but I think Azure is having issue right now. I don't know. It is the firewall is giving me issue, but I did it last night. But this was more like a backup. I know that because I know that the team might actually mess up during the presentation. So I also do like a backup. So if I was using the normal Azure SQL database, I would have used this, right? But since I'm using my Windows identification, Windows authentication, I'll just click on my Windows authentication here, right? It's asking me now for my server name and my database name. So what I'll do now, I'll come back here, right? I'll go back to my Microsoft server, my SQL server. I'll come here, I'll right click, I'll go to properties. So from properties here, right? So I went to my database, which is Andy Jazz. I've created a database called Andy Jazz. I'll go to my view connection properties. So just give me the entire property, right? So my server name is called, this is my server name here. Since I'm using a local server, I'll copy this. I'll go back to my Power Automate. I'll paste my server name here. So the database is called Andy Jazz, remember, right? Andy Jazz. So that's my nickname, right? So if I come here and I look at it now, you can see that if I come here, I see that the database is called Andy Jazz. So let me go back here. So database is called Andy Jazz. So let me scroll down. So my username is the next. So I still go back to my connection properties again. I look for my username. You can see my username here, Temidayo Omoniyi. So that's Azure SQL Temidayo Omoniyi. I come here. So my password, I was putting my password. So now it's asking for a gateway. Before I do this, actually, I skip this step. So if I do this, right? So let me just show you something. There's something they call gateway there's something they call gateway in Power Automate, right? So if I come in, just give me a second. My flow. Okay, so if I go to my flow, right? If I go to install, I can install the Power Automate desktop. I can also install on-premise data gateway. So for most of you remember, okay, what do you call gateway? But if you are used to Power BI, you do a lot of cloud stuff with Power BI, like when you're connecting between different enterprise, you're connecting between Azure database, MySQL database, you're connecting between Excel Online or OneDrive. It's something they call gateway, right? So if I go to, let us type on-premise, I'm going to Google now, on-premise gateway. So I'll just use Google explanation to explain better for you, right? So this Microsoft documentation about gateway. So for some of you want to read. So gateway basically, it acts more like a bridge, right? It provides a quick and secure data transfer between on-premise data, which are data that are not in the cloud, and Microsoft cloud services. So what it means by this now, okay, let's take for instance now, let me use Power BI as an example, because I use a lot of Power BI, right? So let me just copy this first now, paste it to the group. I'll paste this to the group. So you can read about gateway. So the idea behind this is that, okay, let's say for instance, now me, I work a lot with Power BI, right? I'm doing like a report, like an online report. And the report, it has both it has different data source. So some of my data source are from Google Sheets. I have data source from MySQL. I have data source from Excel Online, like different data source. I have like Shopify data, I have YouTube data, I have Facebook data source, different data source. And also in that my report, it's also collecting data source for my local drive, right? My system, my local system. That's I have Excel on my local machine. So the idea about Gateway now is that, okay, I have my Power BI online or any devices I'm using. I'm just using Power BI as an example because I use a lot of Power BI. I have my Power BI online, right? So I'm trying to create a connection, right? So my Power BI online, I've created like an auto refresh every day. There's going to be refreshing, there's going to be updating my data. For my data source that's coming from MySQL, coming from other cloud platform like Excel Online, I don't need a gateway because my Power BI is an online service, right? My Excel Online is also an online service. My OneDrive is also an online service. But for my also that same Power BI that's online, is also connected to my Power BI local machine, right? So I have to have a gateway that creates like a bridge, a connection between my local machine on my desktop and also my Power BI online, so that whenever I update the local machine Excel, if I update my local machine data real time, it's also going to be updating on my Power BI online. So basically what I'm trying to do is that you can see now I've created a connection between my cloud services and also my on-premise data. What do you mean by on-premise data? Data that I found like your local machine data source, like Excel that's on your system, like your CSV file, pictures, any kind of data that's usually on your local machine. So you need like a gateway that helps you talk between your cloud services and your local machine, right? So let me go back here. So the first thing I was meant to actually install, because of time I was rush. I was meant to install my on-premise my on-premise data gateway. I've actually done that. So if I go to my free, so if I show you myself, I've actually downloaded it. So this is my gateway. I've actually installed it already. I've installed it already because of time and net. Because of it's almost like 600 and something MB or 400 and something. If I click on premise gateway, if I open, let me just open my gateway. So if I open this, it's usually going to open like this. Sign in. Let me get the account I'm using. I actually have a lot of accounts. So let me just get the actual account I'm using for my phone. I want to know the account I'm using. So if I check, okay, I think I'm using one of my developer accounts. Let me check. Let me get it. Okay, yeah, okay. I just want to copy it out. I don't really have so many developer accounts. On Microsoft.com. So this is the one I'm using right now. So I'm just the one I'm recording the video. I'll blur these details out. So I'll connect it now, right? Just give it time. Just give it a little bit of time. It's loading. It's connecting. Okay, so just use this. So it's connected. Let me check. If you have any question, put it on the chat box. You can't see my screen. Can everyone see my screen? Just put yes or no, like in the chat box. Can you see my screen? Okay, I can see Aramus giving a thumbs up. It doesn't mean you can see my screen. Okay, that means you can see my screen. So, but I think you should leave and join again. Yeah, Toby, please leave and join again. Please leave and join again. Okay, now, so what this one basically means, right? Now, I've logged into my gateway. So one of the things you have to notice about your gateways is that sometimes when you're connecting your gateway, it works, right? It shows you gateway up and running, but most times it doesn't work. One of the issues we face most times is location. So location matters a lot. So you can see that for this location, I'm using what? I'm using West Europe. I'm using West Europe. So in gateways, right, you have two types of gateway. You have your standard gateway. You also have your personal gateway, right? So if you're using a standard gateway, that means you have like admin rights. But is it personal gateway? That means okay, it's your own personal kind of gateway. You're doing your own personal project that you don't want people to see. So most times there's something called personal gateway, but personal gateway is only available for Power BI. You get. So if I'm in an organization now, if you notice, I didn't use my company's account to log in. I use my own personal developer account. Do you know why? Because on my company's account, I don't have admin rights. What I mean by admin right is that I have a boss. Everyone knows my boss. I work for Michael Afusi, right? So Michael Afusi is my boss. So he has the admin right. So there's some things I'm limited to. One of the things I'm limited to is that I can't even get the location. So what I mean by getting the location, if I go to my, let me just open one of all these. So if I come to my office.com, if I go to my admin here, right? One of the issues that you might have whenever you're working with gateways is your location. So if I go to my admin, right? If I go to show all, I can go to show all. Let me check settings. I'm trying to get the check description. I'm trying to get the location. So most time the location is usually Europe. Give me this settings. Okay, settings. Okay, yeah. So when you go to settings, settings, from settings, you go to organization settings. Sorry, it was organization. Let's go to from organization settings, you go to descriptions. So it's going to show, okay, organization profile. I'm trying to get the location. Yeah, so from organization profile, you see data location now. So from data location, you can see, you've noticed everything is showing what European Union. So most times, if you are doing your gateway, you might be using South Africa. Doing South Africa, use a country that is close to it. So now you can see that my own gateway, my location is what European Union, right? That's why you can, if you notice now in my gateway, I added what West Europe. So when I was creating my gateway, because I didn't create, because when I'm installing my gateway, I have to use, like, in my location part, I have to use West Europe. All these things are long process. I have to, like, skip so many steps because of it's a 1 hour class. So I have to use, like, what West Europe, right? But so for some of you, I want to know, okay, what location should I use for my gateway access, right? My on-premise gateway, go to your data location, get the location here. So the location here is what? European Union. So when you get your European Union, okay, my admin center, my admin connection is at European Union. So if I'm doing my gateway connection, I'll use a location that is very, very close to where my admin location is showing me for my data source. So are we good? So I'll go back to my Power Automate now, right? So assuming now that you've installed your on-premise data, you have done, so your on-premise now is working good now. Your institution, like, okay, on-premise is up and running. Let's see. That is okay, I can see now. Okay, let me say you can see now. Okay, so my on-premise is up and running, right? So if I go to my data, right, I go to my connection. So I want to add connection now. I want to add an SQL connection. So I'll just wait a little bit. Okay, so the next thing now, I'm looking for SQL. You can see these are all my connections. This is one of my developer accounts. One of the reason why I used my developer account is because I don't have if I use my organization account, I don't have admin rights. So if what I mean by admin rights, that means sometimes the gateway might be fluctuating. So except if I ask my boss, okay, what location am I using? Now Michael gonna say, Michael right now is not even in the country right now. So to even reach out to him is more like it's an issue right now. Like it's more like it's very difficult to reach out to him because right now he's very, very busy. So I have to use my own personal developer account to do this. So I want to create like a new connection, right? So I go to new connections. I look for SQL. So I look for SQL. So I have different SQL. I have SQL Server, which is owned by Microsoft. I have MySQL, which is the most used database management studio. I also have Postgres. Postgres is very, very user friendly. I love it a lot. I have Azure SQL Warehouse. But this time I'll be using my SQL Server, right? So this open, I'll pick Windows Authentication. So my server name, I'll go to my, remember as I did it the other time, right? Let me do it again. I'll close this. Let me close this. So to get my server name, I go to my database here, right? I right click. Sorry, I'll select this. I go to my database and the jazz. I right click. I go to properties. So from properties, I go to view connection properties. So now you can see my server name. Where's my server name? Okay, this is my server name. I'll copy all my server name here. I'll copy this. I'll come here. I'll place my server name here. I'll go to my database name. Is this what Andy Jazz? I remember that's Andy Jazz, my nickname. Andy Jazz. I'll scroll down again. So my username is, I'll come here, I'll look for my username. This is my username for the database. That's Temidayo Omoniyi. That's my full name. I'll paste it here as my username. Sorry. Control V. My password, I'll put in my password. password. Okay. So I'll scroll down a little bit. So it's asking me to choose gateway. Remember now, my gateway is up and running. My gateway and the name of my gateway, because when you download gateways, right? When you're downloading the Power Automate Gateway, you do something, you put your username. So the username I kept for this my gateway was Temidayo. So if you come here now, if I come to this page, you see that it's showing what choose gateway. My gateway is Temidayo. That means it's up and running, right? What I was not doing is just what click on create, and it's going to create. Now it's showing what is adding connection now. So I'll just give it. I'll wait a minute to add connection to it. So it's just now, this is just your internet that matters now. So as it's added, let me just check the group. Okay, I think it has added. Let me check now. Wow, so it has added now. I see it 11 seconds ago, right? So next thing now, let me now create like my normal flow. I'll go to create flow. I'll go to a automated cloud flow. Flow test. I want to name it as flow test. I will search for the trigger. So what do you call a trigger? A trigger is something that starts an action, right? So you can have trigger like weather, like most times for with data in the data space, we do triggers more like KPI. So if you use Power Power BI online, so we have something they call alerts, more like an alert system. So alert system is more like a trigger. So you can put like a condition, like, okay, if it's greater than so range, or it is below so range. But also in Power Automate, you can also do trigger using form. So trigger is something that starts an action. So my trigger, I want to make my trigger to be a form. So I say when a form is submitted, right? So I'll click on when a form is submitted. I click on enter, right? But the thing now, I've not created a form. So I have to create a form. So I'll go to my form. So form is part of the cool stuff in Microsoft Office. So if I go to my Microsoft Office, you can say if I go to Microsoft Office, I can select form. If I can see all apps, you can see this. It plays the word form. Where's form? Where's form? Where's form? You can see form here, right? So I've already opened form here. Let us create a new form. So in my new form, I'll do something very fast. So remember, let me just say something not too complicated. So it's my my Microsoft form. I'll just insert an image from my local drive. So you can see we're moving between so many applications. We're using Azure, but now we're not using Azure anymore. We're using normal SQL database this time around because Azure is giving us firewall issues sometimes. So just yes, data. Just put forward to me. So let's say the first one, how to add a text, right? So the text should be person to be able to put the employee ID. I'll click on required. That means it is required. The person must put in the information, right? So next one, I'll put another text. So let me say first name, right? Also required. Just who got it. Another text, I'll say last name. Remember when I was creating my table, my database, I use 4 columns, right? I use employee ID, I use first name, last name, also phone number. So I'll put the last one. Let me say last one should be phone number. I'll say phone number, also required. So I think it's cool. Let me just change the theme. So if you want to change the theme, you can also use any theme you want. Okay, so okay, that's all. So let me change some of the settings. Let me say settings. Anyone can respond. So this one now I put okay, anyone can respond to this, right? So this one, anyone can respond to this. So the name of the form is called form DB form. Yeah, flow DB form, right? So I go back to my Power Automate. So in my first one, I say when a new response is submitted, right? So I go to here, it's going to load now. So this name of the form, this name of the form I just created, you can see flow DB form. I just click on flow DB form, right? I click on new steps again. I will say, let's put a form again. That form, it means I want to get my response. I want to get response details. So the form ID is also the same thing. That's flow DB form. The response ID will be response ID from here. So this time around, I'll look for another action. Now I'm creating a flow, right, that is moving downwards. I'll click on SQL. So SQL Server. So this time around, I want to insert a row, right? So I'll click on insert a row. So I have to log in, right? So I'll click on It's showing Azure AD integration. The rest of I want to use Windows authentication. Let me see if the Windows authentication is the same thing. Okay. So my SQL server name. Remember, I forget my server name. Like I didn't get it. Can the column in the table in the database be auto-selected in the form? Yeah. Okay, I'll answer that. Just give me a second. I'll answer that. Okay, now so my SQL server name, right? I'll go to I'll come here again. My server name is, let me just copy this. So we want to be fast now because the time is really, really good, not be on our side. So the database name is Andy Jazz. The username again, I'll come here again, I'll get the username. So if you have any questions, still put it in the chat box. So my username, I'll copy this, I'll paste this one here. So my password. So my gateway, remember my gateway is already on. So my gateway is, you can see this sign, it's showing Temidayo. So this is my gateway. I'll just click on what? Create. So I'll give it a second to create. Okay, it's creating, let us wait. Okay, so it has created. So now the server name is this, the database is and the jars. Remember, the table is, I think it was FlowDB, right? Yeah, FlowDB. Yeah, that was the table in FlowDB. So now, as I've put this, like I said, everything is out, right? So what I'll do now is I'll use my dynamic content. You can also use expression. If you're someone that is used to FX formulas, like FX signs, like these are like, if you write a lot of people that use power apps, like you're writing strings, you're using like string formats, integer, concatenates, like these are like, if I use the Excel formula, so these are like FX sign, that's function signs. But this time I'm going to be using the dynamic content for this, right? So if I click on this dynamic content, so my employee ID, I want my employee ID to be this. I want my first name to be, I don't want to waste time. If I was doing things like age, now I've created like a dynamic, now I've created like an expression using integer or float, but that's going to take a little bit more of time. So first name, I'll say first name this, last name will be last name this. Okay, your phone number should be the phone number here. Okay, so let me make it more cool. Let me create like let me add another cool thing to this. Let me add an Excel. Let me add an Excel table also to this. So I can also populate an Excel table at the same time. So let me come here. So give me a second. Let me say. So let's say this one here is just watch this. So as I want to be populating my SQL database at the same time, I want to also populate my Excel online. So let me say employee ID, right? Let's say last name. For some of you that like using what they call it now, like using SharePoint list. You can also use SharePoint list. But since I'm an analyst, most of the time I use a lot of Excel and last name. Also, let's say this place here should be phone number. So what I do now, for you to use Excel online, first I have to select all of this. I will not format it as, I'll format as a table. So let me just use something light. I don't want to use something too heavy. I'll click on my data as a table header. I'll click on OK, right? So let me rename this as flow DB. Not so complicated, right? So let me go back to my flow, my Power Automate. I can also create a new flow, a new connection. I'll click on Excel Online. I'll create add row to a table. So add row inside of a table. Not that there's a difference between column and row, right? So I'm adding new information. So I say add a row into a table. So I click on this. So it's asking me for my location now. So my location is OneDrive for business. I'll click on OneDrive, that's library. So my file name, I'll click on this document over here. The name was how is it? Yeah, has it shown? It's not showing yet. Okay, yeah, this is it. Okay, flow Excel DB. Yeah, okay, showing. So the table, I'm using table 1. So I'll just click on table 1. So all of this will pop out. So the same thing I did, I'll use the dynamic content again. I can also use dynamic content from here, you can see. But let me use it from still the same form. I'll say employee name, first name is, last name is last name here. Phone number is, let me save my phone number. Yeah. So let me make this a text, because phone number, if I don't put this area it will not select. Let me just select text. Okay. So let me make this should be a text. Text. Okay, let's just move on. So after this, okay. So after this now, where's my power out? After this now, right? I just need to do what? Flow test. I just thought it was save now. So let's see. Okay, flow save successfully. Remember now, so I just did 3 things. So what I need to do now, let me now test my flow. So I'll do like a manual test. So I'll click on test, right? So it's going to be testing. So what I need to do now, go to my my form. I'll click on preview. So I'll just try and test. I must put names. So let's put different. Let us put total 01. So that's total oil and gas. Total 01. First name Temidayo. Last name Omoniyi. Phone number. Let me just put random number. What submit, right? So it has submitted. So the next now to do now, let me check my data table if it entered. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it has entered here. You can see that it entered real time. Total, Temidayo, money, and the phone number I left here, right? So the main thing now to check is my SQL database. Let me now check if the same information also entered here. So let me close this. I'll click on OK. So I'll go to my SQL server. I'll click on refresh. So I'll refresh this. I'll open my table. So this is the moment of truth now. Let's see. Expanding my table. Sorry. Expand table. So this one, let me run this. Please. Okay. Yeah. Okay, you can see now it's entered, right? You can see now. You can see the information automatically populated here. Let me just see the information automatically populated here. So what I did now is I connected for my Microsoft. I used Microsoft Form, right? I connected it using let me tell you the different steps I took now. For my Microsoft Form, I went to Power Automate. From Power Automate, I connected my Power Automate to my SQL Server. That's my Microsoft SQL Server. But this is made possible. Why? If I was using my Azure SQL Database, I will not go through using a gateway connection. But since I'm using a local machine. That's my local database on my system. I have to go to a gateway connection. That's why I have my gateway connection installed, open. So let's now try if this will work for everybody. So what I will do now is I will send you guys the link to the form. So some of you to try and click, like fill in the form and tell me. So I want to know if this is working for everyone. So it's working now for me, right? So let me just shorten this. I'll copy this. So I'll paste this to the group now. So I'll paste it here. So you guys try and fill the form and tell me if it's going to work. So just click on the form and tell me if it opens for you guys. And if you guys are able to, just fill the form and tell me. If you fill, just say yes. So we'll do that for the next 3 minutes. So if you can fill, just tell me yes. So I'll know to the next. Please, if the form is opening for you guys, tell me yes. Because I made it, anybody can fill. So anybody can fill the form. It's not so if you can fill, just put yes. Do you guys have access to the form? Okay, Elijah said yes. So just try and fill. Let's see. So let me just stop sharing my screen as you guys are filling. Yes, okay. Have you filled the form? If you filled, just say yes. So say I've filled. Okay, filled. Awesome, Elijah. Awesome. I'm trying to get somebody's LinkedIn. So as you guys are filling, just give me a second. I want to give a big shout out to someone. Olariwaju. Okay, yeah. So I'll give a big shout out to Olariwaju also. The guy's been doing some awesome stuff. So okay, yeah. Thanks, guys. So you just give me a second. I'll share my screen back again. Okay. Thanks, guys. So I will share my screen again. How you guys can see my screen? So I'm trying to open Olariwaju's profile. The guy has been doing a lot in the Power Platform environment. So I'll go back to my browser. So you guys are filled, right? So what I need to do now is I'll go back to my SQL. Let's first check it on my Excel first. Oh, you can see now, right? You can see that it automatically populated here, right? I can see Elijah, remove the phone number. I can see, I don't know who this is actually, or Metador. Okay, but now it is entering my Excel real time. So I want to check if it's also entering my SQL database also real time. So I'll go to my SQL database. I'll refresh this. Um, okay, so I'll run again. And you can see, voila. That's how cool this is, right? It also automatically entered here real time. Real time. You can see how cool this is now. I hope you guys can see my screen. But those like, if you can see my screen, let me see. Okay, yeah. So as you can see now, it automatically entered here. So all your data, all your information entered here real time. So I'll give a big shout out to, because of, I won't lie to you guys, I didn't know this from my head. So I was trying to do a project one time, and I'm doing a personal project of mine, and the project is actually is kind of big. I need a lot of like, um, I needed like a place to store my data. So I was looking for a way to create a connection between Power Automate, because I was going to be getting the data from Power Automate and some Python. I'm using Python Selenium, that's the RPA in Python, and Python RPA. So I needed a way to like be populating real time into my SQL database. So Larry did a video around it. So, but mine, I'm just trying to like add more content to it. So because he didn't want to the local machine. So but but what I wanted to do personally was I wanted to do to Azure SQL. But for this tutorial, I don't know why the Azure SQL now is now messing up right now. It doesn't want to work real time. It doesn't want to log. It's changing but that's actually the advantage of using Azure. It has a very high level of protection. So the IP address is always going to be changing real time. It's going to be changing time by time. So the idea now is, if you notice, guys, so I used 4 platforms. Let me open my notepad now. So let me just open my notepad. Let me make this big. So step 1, for my step 1, I created a database. Step 2, I say step 2. Step 2. I also created a table. Created a table in database, right? So step 3, I had to install my on-premise. So, but it has an option. So it has an exception. For you to use on-premise gateway is in 2 ways, right? I'm doing a flow. If I'm connecting a cloud software to a local machine, what I mean by local machine, I mean local machine means my desktop computer. I'm connecting, let's say for instance, I'm connecting between Azure. I'm connecting an Azure AI now. I'm using Azure AI I'm connecting Azure AI to my local machine. That's my C drive on my computer. I need a gateway, because why? I'm connecting between a cloud platform and a local and an on-premise data. So I need a gateway, right? But if I'm now connecting between Azure, and I'm connecting Azure to SQL, I'm connecting Azure to Excel Online, or to any other cloud services, I don't need a gateway. It's because of why all of that they're all under the cloud, so I don't need a gateway for that. But since I'm connecting between my local machine and the cloud service, I need a gateway for that. So I have to install a gateway. From that, my gateway, I have to step 3. Maybe I'll write an article around this very soon. Sure. So step 3, I'll write a blog around this. So step 3, I have to create a connection. So I have to create a connection in my Power Automate. So what I mean by connection, the connection I used was Azure SQL. That's SQL. That's SQL Server connection. So after that, I created a form. Step 5. Also created a Microsoft form. For some of you, I used a Google form. Google form is just like Microsoft form also, so it gives you the same flexibility. But Microsoft form has more cooler features due to the fact that it has the own Microsoft services, so you can integrate between. But Microsoft actually doing a very nice job by integrating between different services and different platforms. So that's another one. So after that, you create the flow. And so the last start, the final, create your flow. So that's all. So let me check the chat box. So that's all for today. So any question? Yeah, let me send you I'll send you Olarewaju's Olarewaju's like a mentor. Someone I look up to. You guys are awesome. No, this guy is doing a lot in the Microsoft platform. So I'll just send you. For some of you that don't know Olarewaju, I'll send you his LinkedIn, so you can always connect with him on LinkedIn. So that's all for today. So any questions so far? Because I'm not actually moderating today, so I have to like host, moderate, and present. So any question? If you have any question, let me just raise your hand so I can unmute you. Oh, show the notepad again. Oh. Okay, I'm coming. Where's my notepad? Let me just copy the entire step. Actually, let me copy the entire step so it's easier. So I'll paste it to the group chat. I'll paste this into the group chat. So if you have any question, you can raise your hand. So at the same time, this recording will be made available on our YouTube channel. So let me just copy the YouTube channel link. So it's actually a recorded section. So by your BizEdge, so I'll paste the link here. Oh, thanks, James. Really appreciate it. I look up to you a lot. Hey, Yusuf, my brother, how you doing? So you can recording. Record made available. So also maybe like before the end of this week, I'll also write an article around this. I'll show you how to connect between. I do a lot of connection between different ones. Azure database, but I don't know why, because the IP address is always changing. Because there's this thing they call file. Okay, I think Elijah answer is up. Let me just. I'll make Elijah a presenter. I'll stop sharing my screen. I'll make you a presenter so you can unmute yourself. So Elijah, unmute yourself. You can unmute yourself and speak. Hello, Elijah. Elijah. Aremu. Aremu, you can unmute yourself and speak. I've made you a present. Or you also say, okay, you don't say anything. Okay. At the same time, okay, I've sent the link, the YouTube link. Also, I will need your feedback. If you have any comments, suggestion on how we can improve.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
All right, thank you so much for this presentation. Very, very useful for me. And my question is that if you go back to the to the form itself, I think at that time you've already made connections, right? Let me.
Okay, let me from when? Is it from the Power BI side, Power Automate
No,
side?
no, from the form itself, the
Okay, so
Microsoft form itself.
this one is, yeah.
Yes, this one here.
Okay, yeah, okay.
And I also noticed that you did the same too on Excel. Say, for
Yeah,
instance, you are connecting to the database that has so many tables that you can't remember offhand, and you need to you need people to fill forms that will go directly into that particular column and table like that. So instead of having to type the column name like employee ID, first name individually, is there a way for the form or the Excel to
okay.
automatically pick those column names and then put it on the form or the Excel instead of having to type it out one by one?
Oh, okay. So there's two ways actually. So one way is that if I'm someone that okay, I usually build form. Like I'm always doing form every time, and I have like 1,000 rows of form. I'm always doing it like all the time. So Microsoft Form has this AI built intelligence in it. That okay, before I click on type in employee ID, it already gives me like a prediction. Okay, it does like a suggestion for me. Oh, you don't want to put employee ID, you don't want to put this, you don't want to put that. That's one of the AI features in Microsoft Form. That's one. That's one. Another one again is okay, the other one is not very straightforward. But okay, the one that is straightforward, that's what I'll just tell you. The one that is straightforward is that if I'm always creating form regularly, right? Like they call it more like a recommendation system. Like if you're someone that use YouTube a lot, right? I watch a video on YouTube, and the
Yeah.
next time I go to YouTube, so it's going to recommend things for me. They call it a recommendation system, right? So also Microsoft Form has that ability. This one, the reason why I had to type these ones out is that because I'm using a developer account. If I was using my own company's account, I have my own company's account, but I was using that to create a form. Most times, it always gives me like suggestions. Before I even type it, it always gives me suggestion. We want to put this. If I just type a word, it always gives me a suggestion already. If I even type it out, you get just like the way Excel does that. Okay, I'm typing a name which means just it just give me storage. I just click on what tab and enter as real time. So that's the only answer that can come to mind right now. But other people might have another answer, but that for me that's the only answer that I know of right now. So Elijah, okay, Toby's answer. Toby, let me make you a presenter. Toby is actually a guru when it comes to the whole Power Apps, Power Platform. Yeah, I'm just the data analyst guy. I stay in my lane actually. So Toby is like a guru. And he's a friend of mine from school. Okay, Toby, I'm listening to you. Yeah, you can speak now, Toby. Unmute yourself and speak. And Elijah, was I able to answer your question? Sorry.
Yes, I think you nailed it. So I think during testing we'll see more. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. But you can still test, Bob. This is it's just like more of like it's a prototype. It's not something. But the amount personal project, yeah, I do more for personal project and client work. So Toby, you can unmute yourself. Sorry.
Please let me know if you're hearing clearly. My network is a bit shit.
Yeah, we can hear you very well.
Very well. Okay, so I just want to add to what you said. You actually did a very you answered this question quite alright. So so Mr. Elijah, this is actually just to add to what Temidayo said. I know he has actually answered he has covered it, just to add to what he said. So this what I wanted you to understand is what Temidayo did now is just a one-time thing. What it means is that next time when Temidayo goes back to fill that form, he does not need to do any other flow.
Yes.
It's just a one thing. So now, because it's a one-time thing, your Excel and that flow needs to map. So basically, what you were doing in that place was mapping. It was mapping the form, the employee ID from the form to the SQL server. That's what it was using, and also from the form to the Excel sheet. So it's just a one-time thing. Now, once you build that flow, anytime, even you yourself, like when we fill the form, now all of us fill the form, we didn't have to go through any flow, we didn't have to do anything. Automatically, all of those are already mapped to that database. So if, for example, you have a form that is going about to 10,000 people, now instead of you having to get 10,000 forms through paper and going to start filling them inside one Excel sheet and converting, now with that form, just send the form out. All the 10,000 people fill that form, and automatically, because you've mapped it with your Power Automate, it automatically maps all of the response to your database. So talking about your case scenario, I think it was more about understanding what Power Automate in itself was doing. It's just mapping. So so that's just what I did for it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Toby. Toby is actually like when it comes to the Power Platform, Power Automate, Power Apps, Power Virtual Agent is on another level entirely, another level. So so I will share some stuff now. Let me ask. Okay, the recording of the video, I will send you the link. So I will send you the link to our YouTube channel. So the recording will be made available on this channel, so our YouTube channel. I can see Sarah asked, and Elijah already helped me out with that. Let me just put it again. So this is our YouTube channel. Also, if you have any feedback, what I mean by feedback, if you have suggestion on what we can do to improve on our section, or if you know of anyone that might want to like present in future, or if you think you want to present, if you want to present, you can also put it on our feedback form that we want to present. Okay, I can see Yusuf Ibrahim's hands is up, so I'll put a feedback. So this is our feedback form. If you have any suggestion, okay, was this section, was it helpful to you? Yusuf, just give me a second. Was it helpful to you, or do you have any things you want us to add, or do you have any topic you want us to do in future that might benefit you? Put it in the feedback form. Also, remember, we're also a training company too, so I'll send you the link to your BizEdge. So if you want to take Excel training, financial modeling, Power BI, big data, Python for data analysis, and the rest. This is the link to our website. So Yusuf, I'll make you a speaker now, so you can. Actually, we created some restriction to this because there was a time that someone hijacked the program, so it was putting very sensitive stuff. So we had to like make a very strong restriction to this. So Yusuf, you can speak now. So Toby, you can lower your hands.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know if you guys can hear me clearly.
We can hear you. We can hear very well.
Okay. Thank you very much for your presentation. And well, why I actually raised up my hand, I needed a suggestion. I don't know how you guys are going to help. But I have this Excel file that I usually do updates to my Power BI that's locally from my system. So I do update it like every day to update my data to show my data on the Power BI. So, and it's more like not in a different Excel sheet. It has different sheets, which I use Power BI to match them all, and then to start giving me the content in which I want. So I don't know, is there a way I could just create a database that will help me automate everything so that I won't have to be doing all this manually all the time? I don't know if you understand what I'm actually saying, and I don't know if it's actually related to what we are doing here. So if it's not, I'm sorry, please.
No, 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 no. So the thing is that okay, can you just okay? So the thing is that okay, let me check. I think someone put. Let me check this chat. Okay, so the thing is that Yusuf, yeah, your question is very, very valid. When your any question that has to do with the Power Platform is valid here. So when you talk about Power Platform, I mean the Power BI, the Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agent. That's the chat box. So, and most time we start as a data company before we start venturing into the whole Power Platform thing. So for you now, you said that you have data in different sheets, right? So one thing that they call it if you go to, there's something they call Power Query, right? So there's something they call I'm trying to like append queries. So what I need to do now for your own situation now, since you have a report in different sheets, what I need to do now, there's something they call, if you go to your Power Query, there's something they call append query. So append query means I'm stacking everything one after the other. Okay, let me just open because of time and everything. But Yusuf, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn as Temidayo, or you can also read up on appending queries. What I mean by appending queries is that, okay, I have sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3, sheet 4, sheet 5, sheet 6, up to sheet 10, right? And each of those sheets has a table in it, a data table in it. It is still the same information, like the same kind of columns that are there, right? Provided, okay, each of those 10 sheets have seven columns, and those 7 columns are the same thing, right? So what I can do now is I can append all those columns at once. It now becomes just a single file, a single table. So that means I will append. Okay, let me share my screen. Let me share my screen. Let me do some. I have to do some drawing now. So let me just open. Let me open a new one. So let me open a new one. So let's say, so I have to draw. Sorry. So I have a table. This is my table 1. Table 1. That's sheet 1 actually. Sheet 1. Sheet 2. I have sheet 3. Sheet 4. And I also have sheet 5, right? So these are my Excel, right? So I have sheet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So I have 5 sheets in my Excel. So what I want to do now is something they call append. So for you to append, you have to append using Power Query. So Power Query provides you with the old ETL, that's extract, transform, and load, the old cleaning data transformation in Excel. So okay, just give me a second. Someone sent a message. I want to confirm. So what I will now do now is that for me to append, I want to append everything now. So it should be stacked, roll with each other, right? So I'll ask, this is my table 1. It will now come here as table 1, right? I'll have like a connection like this. Table 2.
You're not sharing your screen yet.
Hey, Jesus. I'm sharing my screen. I'm sharing my screen. My screen is. I'm actually sharing my screen.
We can only see your face.
Can you see my screen? If you can see my screen. Okay, you said I did the append or actually merge them. Okay, it's actually append. You merge, because merge is like you're joining. Okay, I did the append or I actually have to keep updating the Excel. Hey, okay, what you can do, and there's something that is actually awesome. Okay, Yusuf, there's another one you can do. They call it get data from a folder. Get data from a folder. Get data from. Okay, let me show you now. Let me show you.
Yeah, exactly. So I did actually get the data from the folder, and all the Excel files are in the folder. So if I get submission from different distance, then I'll come to the Excel folder and I'll fix each of them in the exact Excel sheet to keep doing. I was just feeling that maybe they have another way.
No, that's the best. That's the best one. That's the best one. This is that
you know that
get data from a folder is still the same thing as append, But just that get data from it gives you the ability to get as many data. But you have to do it manually. You'll be selecting more than 3 tables. But getting data from a folder just does everything in real time. So what you also does be doing is just be copying the new data, the new Excel table, copy it inside the folder, click on refresh, it updates real time, it updates real time, it updates real time. That's how it works. So Sarah says no, not necessarily. But most times, not necessary. So when you talk about CSV and text, CSV and text are basically we tend to classify them together. You know that comma separated values and text is most times in the data space, most times classify them together, but it's not necessary. But most times you have to be in the same data format. What I mean by data format is that if I want to append or if I want to get data from a folder, right? I'm getting data from an Excel file, everything must be Excel file. So if I have an XLSX file in it will not really get it well. You might be having an error sign. But if I'm having all CSV file, the same thing has to be all CSV file or all text file. So it has that when you're doing when you're getting data from a folder, it will show you to tell you the data type. So you have to select the exact data type. So I was able to answer your question. So any question so far? Any question? So Yusuf, awesome question. So the best approach to that is getting data from a folder. That's the best approach to that. Oh, you're welcome. And also, you can also connect. Sorry. I said before we close, most people have left already. So before we close, if you have any suggestion or comments, right? Suggestion or comment, let me open. I've closed it. So if you have any suggestion or comment, please, you can put it on that form. That place I kept the feedback form. You can put your suggestion or comments there. You can put your suggestion or comments. Here is the feedback form. So you can if you have any suggestion or comment, put it here. The recording will be made available on our YouTube channel before the end of tomorrow. Definitely, it will be updated on our YouTube channel. So I think that was all for today. So thank you guys, and everyone have a lovely week ahead. So have a lovely Monday. Thank you. I really appreciate you. How can I reach? Okay, yeah, okay. So if you want to reach me for question, let me just give you my LinkedIn connection. Or you can reach me on Twitter. Kido Jazz. I use a lot of Twitter lately. I'm a Twitter person. But if you want to reach me on LinkedIn, let me just give you. So just search for Temidayo on LinkedIn. But let me just open my profile so to be easier here. Okay, I'll copy my LinkedIn profile. You're welcome. You're welcome, Yusuf. And nice question. So I've pasted it. So you can also reach me on Twitter. On GitHub at but mostly you can reach me on this thing, LinkedIn. Just search for Temidayo. Thank you guys. So any question? So I think someone asked about assignment or something. I don't know who was the person. Let me check the chat. Okay, that was Sarah. Sarah asked about assignment. We don't really give assignment like this, but we do like more of like content. So we create content, but most times our assignment is bold. If you come to our training, right? We have this training it's more like after training support. So we do this follow-up training that we send you our assignment via email and everything. But those ones are like the benefit you receive when you come to our Excel training or Power BI training or financial modeling training or Python for data analysis training, right? So I think that was all right. So thank you guys very much. Thank you very much. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and do have a lovely week ahead. Bye guys. So I'll stop sharing. Bye everyone.